slides to work. I'm Dan Huntsha. I'm the North and West Suburbs Outreach Director with Faith in Place. If you're not super familiar with Faith in Place, our mission is to empower Illinois people of all faiths to be leaders in caring for the earth, providing resources to educate, connect, and advocate for healthier communities. And we truly do believe that when people of faith lead the environmental movement, it's a movement focused on justice and care for our common environment, where we're lifting people up at the same time that we're also taking care of the planet at the same time. I'm in the North and West suburbs, but we also have people working. Our main office is in Chicago. We have an office in Lake County, and then we also have Urbana-Champaign, and then somebody in Southern Illinois. That fifth star was where the one person was, like below the farthest one, but now the farthest south person is like way, way down south. We hired a part-time minister to fill the role of the person that moved into a different position. That was the farthest south star. So I know we're only just a few people, but if you want to put in the chat, sometimes we have a whole bunch of people from all over the state. So I always say, hey, it'd be really cool, to see where you're from. So if you want to put where you're from in the chat, I think you're all in the same area though. So today's webinar, we're going to talk about solutions, basically, the climate and the pollution crisis. We talk about solutions in many different ways. And then I really don't have anything with upcoming events, except for I can direct you to our calendar of events, but I don't have any big specific events coming up. So I usually start off with like, why does this even matter? Like when we're talking about solar or geothermal, like you're interested in, or energy efficiency, sometimes it helps to focus in on first on, why does this really matter? So to me, I started looking at pollution, just generic or general air pollution. About 50% of the total electricity is used by you and I in our residential usage. And you can see the breakdown of the different areas that we get our energy from in Illinois. These are approximate numbers. So almost 40% is dirty energy, meaning ones that put out pollution like coal and natural gas. And then the one important thing to remember is that the dirtiest power plants are used last. So that means that we always have some power plants that are online. And then when we hit that peak demand usage, then they all kind of fire up. But the ones that cost us the most money to actually pay for, because they're like dirtier or less efficient, are the ones they use last. So if we can reduce that through either renewable energy or energy efficiency, or just usage pattern changes, we can take those dirtiest plants off permanently. And then there's a lot of environmental justice issues that I've been made aware of by other people, that fossil fuel burning plants, basically, we know that they exacerbate just everyday health outcomes like asthma. So the communities that are really, that have those power plants in their communities really are affected just on a day-to-day basis. And I was really surprised to learn that Illinois actually leads the country in like coal plants and fossil fuel plants that are located in communities of color. And then with asthma attacks, children of color are 4 times more likely to be hospitalized and 10 times more likely to die. Part of that is because they're just exposed more to the pollution, so their health is just lower, but also some of it is other systemic issues like, less access to quality healthcare and things like that. I looked a little further of what is actually in our coal, and I was surprised to learn all these nasty things are in there. Of course, carbon dioxide, which contributes to climate change, but there's also mercury, lead, arsenic, cadmium, and uranium. And then the World Health Organization put out a study in 2017 that globally 1 out of 6 deaths are actually related to air pollution. And it matters because this stuff, usually the plants need to be cooled by water, or they have discharge into our water systems or sources, so that matters a lot. And often some of them are embedded right in the middle of where we grow our crops. And then if you add more recently COVID on top of that, higher pollution causes higher rates of asthma, lung disease, cancer, birth defects, heart attacks, 1 out of 6 deaths. And then if you add COVID on top of that, they're showing that the people that have the most severe cases of COVID are actually linked to where the pollution plants are, and not just like the air pollution plants, but also if there's a water contamination problem, anything that happens to do with how our health could be affected by different chemicals or chemical plants or fossil fuel plants that we use, the people that already have health problems due to that, they're just so much more likely to be affected by COVID and also to have severe cases where they die. These are two really cool articles that talked about like how vulnerable communities are to COVID, and you know, the linkage between where pollution comes from and how it's connected so closely to coronavirus, severe cases, and deaths. And they had one quote. I don't like putting a lot of text on screens usually, but this is just one quote. From the one article, it says, "It's clear that the novel coronavirus is already compounding systemic inequities in communities with more people of color, poverty, immigrants, and those without access to resources like medical care. And these at-risk populations are more likely to be severely ill from the virus, especially those living near heavy industry and fossil fuel infrastructure." So it really becomes a justice issue that we see in real time when we have something severe that affects people, you know, with our ability to breathe and with our lungs, respiratory illness like COVID. It just compounds the effects that people already feel, and then, you know, it's literally deadly in the short term, not just like a long-term problems. And then, of course, we know that greenhouse gases from our dirty energy contribute to the climate crisis. We all know very much that it's usually carbon dioxide and methane are the major sources, you know, that add to the greenhouse effect. And we all know that the amount of CO2 that's actually in the air is increasing greatly. But we know we need to keep it under 30 parts per million, 430 parts per million, if we want to keep below that 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold. So you don't have a lot of room to really go. But we know we can take, you know, dramatic changes that would have long-lasting health benefits. And then here in the Midwest, sometimes it's hard to see like what is actually going on because we don't have hurricanes, but how are we affected here in the Midwest? Primarily flooding, air quality, and heat waves. And some are extreme where people, you know, have a lot of heat illness or people even die. This was a picture from Chicago. And then if we add up all the long-term effects from climate, whether it's extreme temperatures, droughts, fires, floods, mudslides, or storms, and these are worldwide, we can see in the 80s, it was approximately 300 of those events per year across the whole world. But then it really is taken off where on average, it's around 900 now per year across the whole country, not the country, the whole world. So we can definitely see, obviously, climate has a huge impact on our world right now. So we know that we really need to take action to lower pollution for short-term effects, but also long-term climate change. The Pope has actually been a really big advocate for climate justice, and he actually visited the Philippines in 2015 when they were hit by 2 Category 5 hurricanes in the span of 9 months. And so he said that we are not faced with 2 separate crises, one environmental and one social, but rather one complex crisis that is both social and environmental. And he thinks strategies for a solution demand an integrated approach where we combat poverty, restoring dignity to the underprivileged, and at the same time protecting nature. So I think we're on the same page that we think, hey, the solutions that we implement, we can help the planet and people at the same time and kind of take away maybe some of the systemic issues that we've had towards race, which I'm going to talk about a few solutions later that we've been helping implement that help focus in on that. So I say all that stuff is can be pretty daunting and can kind of get us down, but I also like to be lighthearted and throw some fun things in every once in a while. So I say that, you know, when it comes to our problems, often I think of like Far Side cartoons where there's these 2 cows probably on a Saturday or Sunday, and they're sitting on the couch watching TV because of course we all know that's what cows do. And then the phone is ringing and then it says, there it goes again. Well, there it goes again. And we just sit here without opposable thumbs. But I say you and I, we have the solutions at hand. We have opposable thumbs. We have renewable spirits. and connection to a higher power that really helps us tap into the solution. So we really have everything at hand that we need right now to solve the issues. And then when houses of worship get involved, they usually think big. So they'll often say, hey, we want to do a solar project. Like that's the first thing they'll say when they come to us, say, hey, help us do solar. And we say, hey, that's a great idea. And one of the basic organizing models is that we help them create a green team and get connected with a coach that works with them long term. And then we say that usually it's a journey to get to something like solar panels, and you can do a lot of good along the way. And this isn't meant to be a verbatim like slide that shows exactly what you should do along the way to get there, but it's basically just some smart things to do along the way where you can have a really big impact, and it helps build up to solar. So we work with houses of worship to kind of get on that path. And one of them is forming a green team. One is having a level 1 energy audit, which you actually did. We actually did that with you back in November of 2018. I think Ed was one of the main people that I know I was working with, and I'm not sure who else was on the audit since that was, a while ago now. It's weird to think that 2018 was a while ago, but kind of is now. But we help identify broad opportunities, and we actually do a 1 and a 2 together now. But we had a report that we sent you, and I actually reviewed it. It had like 13 things on it that were suggestions. You were already doing a lot of cool things like changing your lighting. And then so we had like 13 things that we recommend. And those things are really helpful for houses of worship to get from a third party like us that's not out for the money or trying to sell you something, because we really just kind of identify those broad opportunities. And we also compare, we're not going to say, hey, you should do something that, a brand new building is doing that was built 10 years ago if you have a house of worship that's 100 years ago. So we kind of compare apples to apples and say, this is what other people are doing that have a similar building as you. And we're always trying to find the most cost-effective things for you to do. And then we also help in defining some scopes of work. We answer a lot of questions when contractors get involved. And I always say that not the biggest problems, but the biggest winners are if you're focusing on your lighting, your hot water, and your envelope sealing when it comes to your house of worship. And then of course, if you have any flat roof in your house of worship, it's a really good opportunity for solar. And then so to start moving into some of the other solutions, a lot of people say, well, solar is great, but we can't really afford a big project like that. Or how do we even begin to start doing like a capital campaign for that? And so some groups, they want to kind of get going right away, but they don't have the funds. So we did partner with the Illinois State Treasurer's Office for them to launch a program called the Nonprofit Green Lending Program, where houses of worship, if they're showing that they're doing an energy efficiency project or even just solar or even geothermal, you can get a below interest rate loan to either plug a hole in a capital campaign or just be the full cost for something like solar or geothermal. And one thing that's exciting, before geothermal used to just be those vertical projects where they would have to dig down pretty deep into the earth to make them efficient. But now they also have the horizontal projects where they dig down only about 6 feet, and then they make a lot of like coils and they just like circle around. I can't remember what the temperature is, but there's like a constant temperature once you get below like 4 feet down, that the earth is always like 45 or 50 degrees. Don't quote me on that, but it's something around there. And then so you can actually have a horizontal system that's really efficient as well. If you are thinking of doing geothermal, which you mentioned, those are usually more cost upfront, but then the efficiency is way greater than other renewable energy. It's like a 6 to 1. For every 1 unit of energy you put in, you get 6 out. You can even apply for funds for this program if you're putting a new roof on your house of worship, as long as you're showing that, hey, we're putting it more insulation in now. So our roof is going to be more energy efficient. That would qualify. Everything from lighting, motion sensors, new HVAC systems. I think you were saying something about you might be looking into having to replace your boiler. Is that correct? Yeah, I remember us when we were talking about that. So like new boilers and stuff, they're a big ticket item. So if you ever needed to help pay for that, you could use this program as well. And of course, air sealing, tankless water heaters, all those type of things are involved. And
I
then
think that's great information for us because that's the, we've put off repairing our parking lot right now. And we're, next thing on the list is the boiler replacement.
yeah,
So the idea is if we can have a geothermal study done and see what the cost would be, that might be good timing for us. Thank you.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, because if you're gonna, like, you could do a horizontal system under your parking lot, you know, or you could dig like the vertical too. But as far as I know, the horizontal systems are less money because they don't have to drill as deep to do that. When it comes to solar, there used to just be, you had to foot the full price of the bill. So like that used to be a 25 kilowatt system, which these are approximate numbers, about 90 panels. If you're an average size house of worship, around 300 to 330 people, it would be about 40% of your energy, and that would cost you about $80,000. So you can pay for that through the green lending program. You could raise the money yourself and do a capital campaign and pay $80,000 up front. And then what's nice is you do own it. So all the reduction in your bill, you know, you basically reap the reward of that right away. There's other models that a lot of houses of worship are finding really advantageous, like the power purchase agreement. For that same $80,000 system, it allows you to pay only $15,000 up front. And then basically the third party contractor owns the system, and then you are buying your electricity from them for a period of usually about 7 years. And you do get a slight reduction, but it's only small. It's not like you're getting all of a sudden 40% of your electricity for free, but you get a slight rebate. And then they take advantage of like the tax rebates and stuff that a house of worship cannot. So it's advantageous for them because they, as a business, take the depreciation and then the tax rebates. And then after about 7 years, they usually do a $7K buyout. So for $22,000 after 7 years, you own that $80,000 system. And then all the savings after that point are yours. So that's really advantageous. I know my home house of worship, and I know at least 3 other houses of worship recently have done that model because it just makes so much more sense of having less money up front. Because that's usually the biggest deterrent is the big ticket up front. There's also lease options where you never own the system, but you're always getting a discount on your electricity. I don't put any numbers for that because they vary really greatly as far as the cost and then how much you're saving and all that. And then there's also the Solar for All program and Illinois Shines program, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, which are really exciting programs that have come online recently in Illinois. And then the other part of the equation besides renewable energy is becoming energy efficient. We can save almost as much energy as we can through energy efficiency than we can renewable energy. You can save 30 to 40% through energy efficiency pretty quickly. If you're ever looking for a home savings guide, here's the address for CUB. CUB is the Citizens Utility Board. They have that website, the bit.ly/CUB guide is a really great guide on how to be more energy efficient at home. We all know that there's been great advances over time. You know, like that used to be our phones, and it was hilarious. I've seen videos where like a parent has given a rotary phone to 2 teenagers and said, okay, you have 10 minutes to dial this number, and they sit there and they can't figure it out. But of course, we've gone through, you know, the changes where there was the old light bulbs, and then now we have LED light bulbs. That was one of the first cars, and now we have, you know, totally new cars that are either hybrids or electric cars. But like our actual like power transmission system has not changed much at all. It's pretty much the same it has been. It's been kind of the same system for a long time. So a lot of people have been working to upgrade our system to be smarter and to be more relevant and to meet the demand of the times. So I have a short video that talks about smart meters and the smart grid, which is kind of cool, of different things that are coming in effect. And it's only about 2 minutes or so. So give me a thumbs up if you can hear the sound on it. I think I shared it properly, but we'll see.
seems today that everything is getting smarter.
Good.
Smartphones, smart TVs, even vacuum cleaners. But the grid that powers all those devices, not so smart. It's a one-way system where electric bills are often based on estimates, not actual readings, leaving you with surprise charges.
Holy coyote.
And the electric company doesn't know there's an outage until customers call in. That's why Illinois is investing in a new smart grid, where information flows in multiple directions between you and your energy provider, giving you an accurate bill every month and letting you monitor your energy usage. You can even sign up for programs giving you lower rates and rebates in exchange for using energy during off-peak hours. Your smart meter can help you hunt down vampire devices that drain electricity when they're not being used. And when a storm strikes, the smart grid can better prevent outages from spreading. These and other smart grid features are powering up and headed your way. So you can not only be smart, you can save smart. Learn more at Smart Power Illinois and share this video with your neighbors.
So I know that was a cartoon video. I apologize, but it basically went over a lot of different information that they can do quickly instead of me just saying these are the benefits of the smart grid, which is a little easier way to say it. And there's also ways that can incentivize us where we can actually be saving money and reducing in our energy usage at the same time. One of the programs is called Peak Time Savings. Another one is either Power Smart or hourly pricing. You might hear those used interchangeably. With Peak Time Savings, is anybody enrolled in Peak Time Savings here at all with the electric company? Okay, so what this is basically in June, July, and August, that's when we use a lot more energy just because of air conditioning. So this is an opt-in program where you get paid to use less electricity at high demand times. So there's no cost to enroll. There's no penalty if you enroll and don't participate. But they basically send you messages, either email or text messages, and say, hey, Saturday is going to be a high peak day because it's going to be 90 degrees and everybody's going to be using their AC. If you use less electricity on average than the previous 2 weeks, this day will actually give you a credit between $5 and $12 on your bill, depending on how much lower you are. So they usually identify several days throughout those months, and then they'll just let you know, hey, if you use less electricity, we'll give you a credit. And that's a big deal if you can save $5 to $12 on your bill several times over the summer. The other plan is called hourly pricing, and I didn't get the figures, but I had somebody in my previous presentation that I gave a couple weeks ago said that they actually did hourly pricing, and they've saved a ton of money without even really having to change their habits very much, because they already used a lot of their things like dishwashers and did their laundry at off-peak times. And those two graphs are the orange one is summer peak times, and then the fall, winter, spring is the blue line. So those are the peak times. So it actually charges you more if you're using electricity during the peak times and less during the off-peak times. And then so the last person I talked to said that they save hundreds of dollars every year on their bill, and they highly recommend the program. I don't use the program myself, but Chris, the man I talked to, said that it's an excellent program for him. And it's nice to be able to, raise your hand if doing the right thing is nice and when you save money too. So helping, take off those, those worst coal plants and stuff that are the dirtiest ones, if we could take those completely offline and be saving money as a consumer, that's really cool. And then I do have a poll later that asks if you want more information about those programs. If you do complete the poll, you get entered into winning a $50 gift card. So I apologize. I see that maybe the one person that was dialed in, either they hung up or maybe that's Cindy that got logged in. But anybody who takes the poll, and even if you say, no, I don't want information about those programs, you're entered in if you complete all 3 questions. And then we do a drawing for a $50 gift card, and then you get it emailed to you so you can get it. And then there's also a bunch of energy efficiency programs that are absolutely free, where you can actually call ComEd and get the free things. And I say free things because if you have an electricity bill, I mean, raise your hand if you have an electricity bill. There's a line on it. If you probably haven't read every single line on it, but there's one called like energy efficiency program or something like that. And that actually is you're paying into this pool of money every month. And then you can actually get that money back, where they'll actually come to your home, do an assessment, and give you a bunch of free things. And I have a short, like 2-minute video about that program here. And it is completely free, but you've already been paying for it, so you might as well have them come, and give you your money back, kind of. So many of the things that it showed in the video that they'll give you for free, they give you a discount on the advanced power strips. And those are cool because you have basically secondary items and then primary items. And then when you turn off the power to the primary item, it will also cut power automatically without you having to go to the power strip and turn it off. Like if you turn off your TV, you're not going to be using, like your DVD player. And then also like if you have a stereo system connected, so it automatically cuts power to all of those. So you have no vampire appliances like the one video mentioned. So you get the hot pipe insulation, low flow shower heads, low flow faucet aerators. The LED light bulbs, I think, are one of the coolest things because they don't just give you like the standard bulbs that are in a lamp, but if you saw that, they have the ones that are more expensive that are like the chandelier bulbs, and also the big orb ones that are for the bathroom. Like those are some of the ones that are more expensive than the traditional regular light bulb. Those have come down in price too, but it's nice to get all of those type for free, not just a regular lamp bulb. So that's really cool. A lot of times though, like people want to know like, hey, how do I really know like how much I'm saving? It's nice to be able to do these things, but is it really making a difference? Like I do see some of my bill, but what is actually going to be the biggest thing for me to save on? And I always say that, I had the same question, and it reminds me of this Far Side cartoon where there's this big ant with these, or there's this ant with these huge shoes, and he's already kind of smushed some other ants on there. And then you could exchange Ernie for my name and just say Dan in this one. And then the mama ant is saying, Dan, look what you're doing. Take off those shoes this instant. Like I had no idea the size of my carbon footprint until I actually got a calculator. And then I could start seeing the impact, and I could see maybe I want to make changes, maybe I don't, but it depends on this. I didn't know until I knew how big my carbon footprint was. There's 2 really cool calculators, one by Energy Star and the other one by Berkeley at coolclimate.berkeley.edu/calculator. They have a really cool one. It's the one that I use. What's nice is that you can go really simple or go really advanced. Like you can geek out and get your gas bill out, put all the therms in there and everything, or you can go simple and it will go off of like some general things like the zip code you live in, how many people, what's your income level. And then they basically will look at everything. You can see at the top of the screen, your travel, your home, like electricity usage, your gas, also your food, shopping. And then the coolest thing is that it helps you take action. It's going to show you that the biggest winners are going to be in your energy, how you get around, and then your food. Like I was really surprised to learn, this was from a while ago though, that my meat or my food footprint was actually as big as my car fuel and more than my electricity usage. Like I was really surprised. So that made me want to take some changes in how I eat. This presentation is not about food though, or sustainable food and land use, which is another program area, but it was just something that was interesting that I found out because of my calculator that I never knew before. And this one is really cool because you can sort by what's going to have me save the most in actual reduction of greenhouse gases, or money saved, or what's the like upfront cost. And this is a really cool tool because it gives you all these different things that you can save on. And if and it gives you the approximation of how much you'll save and then how much reductions you have, which is really cool. Hopefully we might be turning the corner on COVID. I don't know, but we've been spending way more time at home than we have in the past. So like our usage patterns have changed drastically. But these are good things to know for anybody who might be also retired that spends most of their time at home and not at work. So Cub, we actually partner with Cub, but they had 8 things on their website of if you're spending more time at home or you work from home, these are things to consider that will help you reduce energy, where your energy usage might have gone up a lot because you're spending more time at home rather than being out at an office or working. So the first one was take advantage of, by unplugging unnecessary devices. The picture in the bottom right is actually a little gadget. I think I have one somewhere. It's in my other bag. It's called the Kill a Watt by, K-I-L-L, kill those watts, where you can actually plug that into the wall and plug anything you want into it, and it will show you how much it draws when your thing is on and how much when it's off. Anything that has a little LED screen or a little red or blue light, if that's on even when it's off, it's drawing energy. And a lot of times they say that, like we might watch TV for a couple hours in the day, but then it'll be off or in standby mode, for 20 hours. And they say that with some things like that, or even like a coffee pot, it draws so little energy when it's off, but it actually can be about 50% of the total usage, because when you're using it, you only use it for a short period of time. But then if it's in standby mode or has that little LED screen that's on because it's still plugged in, they can actually draw a lot of energy when they're off. It says take advantage of your windows, like try to work in rooms that have natural light so you don't have to use lamps and stuff. Everything that we have has either a sleep mode or low battery mode. Energy Star says that you can actually save between $10 and $100 on your energy cost per year using that. And it has a couple other tips too about your GPS and Bluetooth savings on your cell phones. I don't know if Greg or Betty want to tell on each other who likes to micromanage the thermostat or who tries to turn it up or turn it down more, but they actually say it's good to just have a setting and then just let it go with its programming, and don't be like, oh, it's a little cooler, I'll bump it down or I'll bump it up, because they say it's better just to set it and forget it, that by actually micromanaging it can actually cause you to use more energy as it tries to catch up later. So basically don't mess with your thermostat, which is nice, but you don't have to tell on each other who's that person, but there's usually one person, but we won't have to point fingers. Hot water is a big one. Water heating is actually about 12% of our utility bills, and for every 10-degree reduction in temperature, you can save up to 5% on that bill. A lot of default settings for a hot water heater is 140 to 160 degrees. 120 to which up that high is actually can be a scalding risk. 120 degrees is a great place to have it, where you should have plenty of hot water. And we know that it's basically always heating up your water to let it cool, to heat it up to let it cool. So especially in a house of worship, it's good to set that at 120 and then just let it be there. I was surprised to learn that clean microwaves and pans actually cook more efficiently. Like when I read this, I actually cleaned my microwave that I hadn't cleaned for a while. There might have been 3 years, or give or take, of caked on things that were causing my microwave to run less efficient. But if you clean it, it took me a while. I did clean it though. And then it actually reduces the energy efficiency usage, or the amount of energy I use, which is great. So that's really nice. And then 7 and 8 kind of go together, where it's about hot water or cool water. Some people debate as far as like, I need to wash my hands in hot water to kill the germs. And multiple studies have shown that when it comes to killing germs, it's the soap that we use. So cold water or hot water doesn't make a difference. It's the soap that's killing our germs. Hopefully we've all been washing our hands a lot more, and we might continue to do so into the future because of COVID now. But washing your hands, I don't recommend cold water personally, but I like to do cool water, no matter what time of year it is, and then the soap, and then you save a lot on not having to heat that water up. And then it's actually 90% of the energy used by washing machines. And then they say that the cold water gets things as just as clean as hot water does. It's the soap that's going to do the cleaning for you. Shifting to policy, we say that it's really great to support bills that are up this spring, like CEJA, the Clean Energy Jobs Act. Those are the House bill and the Senate bill numbers there. You can see at the bottom, it has a lot of different things that are in it, whether it's trying to build an equitable workforce. The main pillars, though, is that the pillar one is that it promotes jobs, equity, and economic opportunity. It especially focuses on communities of color and building jobs there. I like to do pillar 4 next because pillar 2 out of order is confusing. Pillar 4 is that we reach a carbon-free power sector by 2030. That means basically taking the coal plants and the gas plants offline by 2030. We would still have a lot of nuclear energy. So that's where pillar 2 comes in, where it says, hey, let's stop bailing out the nuclear plants because they're costing us a lot of money to try to help them be profitable. I know the last big energy bill that was passed had almost, I think it had $750 million in there. So $750 million went directly to our nuclear fleet here in Illinois, just to help them be more profitable or to be like a break-even stance, because they needed that money to be competitive in this market. So we're like, hey, maybe we could divert that money from them, and then by 2050 actually build out 100% renewable and not have nuclear energy. And then pillar 3 is basically reducing the equivalent of 1 million gasoline and diesel vehicles off the road. So it's about building out that infrastructure for rechargeable cars, and also putting in place a lot of rebates for the cars, so they would be more available. And then I did mention earlier about the Illinois Solar for All program. It's a really cool program that helps low income people to actually get solar. A lot of people are left behind when it comes to wanting to do things like, and you can save a lot of money after you go solar, but a lot of people have trouble getting there. So I think this is a short video that's about 2 minutes that talks a little bit about the Solar for All program.
At Faith in Place, we empower people of faith to fight climate change. But addressing the problem is not enough. We want to solve it in a way that prioritizes those most affected by climate change's impacts. We want climate justice. That is why we support the Illinois Solar for All program. Traditionally, solar energy is only available for wealthier communities. Illinois Solar for All is designed to give low-wealth communities access to solar energy through incentives that make solar installations affordable and keep electric bills down. The program is designed to serve people historically left out of the solar market: low to moderate income households, people of color, and residents of environmental justice communities which are most impacted by pollution from fossil fuels. A quarter of the program's funds are reserved for projects located in these communities. Illinois Solar for All also trains citizens returning from the justice system or leaving foster care to be solar installers, and then incentivizes solar contractors to hire this new workforce. Access to a solar career can make the difference for someone returning from prison. These jobs provide resources that help build a just economy while increasing resilience to climate change for communities. Learn more about Solar for All and other just climate solutions by reaching out to Faith in Place.
That's me, Faith in Place. It was part of FEJA, the Future Energy Jobs Act, that passed in 2016. And like the video said, it focused on income eligible households and houses of worship. And then if you don't qualify for that, there's also another program, Illinois Shines, that I'll talk about in a minute here. So basically, obviously, switching to solar protects the environment. It's meant to create jobs, especially for people that really need the jobs. This is for Cook County. Are you all in DuPage or Cook? DuPage. So this chart is for DuPage and Cook County, Cane Lake. This is an average. The actual specific counties are a little bit different, but this is basically if you're at or below this level, which is 80% of the median income for the county, you actually qualify for the Solar for All program. And it's truly free program. I usually have to say that 3 times, but if you qualify, basically it's you get totally free, no cost solar. Now, sometimes people be like, is that really like free? And your bill goes down by approximately 50% at the very least, but you might be having some fees where you're actually paying like part of your electricity bill to ComEd still, and then part to the Solar for All contractor. But overall, your bill decreases by about 50% because it's supposed to, they don't actually do the project for people that aren't going to be saving a lot on their utility bill, because if you're only going to be saving 10%, they don't think that that's a good deal for you. Let's see, there's also a community solar project if you don't qualify for the to actually have the solar on your house, and that's a great discount there as well. And this is basically like just like an example that if your old electricity bill was about 100, your new electricity bill from ComEd would be like 25, and then the new bill from the approved vendor would be $25. So total your bill would be 50, or you'd be saving about 50%. If you do want to know more about the program, whether it's for yourself or somebody else, that's coming up on the poll next, where the poll is, do you want to know more? It doesn't say I want to sign up, but maybe I'm just curious and I want to know more about peak time rebates, hourly pricing, or Solar for All. So let's see if I can launch this correctly. And everybody who answers those 3 questions is entered into that $50 raffle for that. I believe it's a Target gift card. So the poll should be live now. So either you want to know more about it or you don't, which is fine. It doesn't matter what you vote. We just want to know what people's preferences are for, if they want to know more info or not. Looks like we have 4 people have answered, and I'm not doing it. So I'll give looks like everybody went in. Okay, cool. So it looks like everybody wanted to know about the first 2 programs. Let's see if I can share the results here. And then it was mixed 3-2 if you want to know more about the Solar for All program. So that's great. Everybody that was on the call here now is going to be entered into the drawing after the presentation is over and I enter it into the system. It automatically picks a random number for the people that finished the poll. And then we contact you within about a week. We actually email that person with the gift certificate. So thank you for taking that. We just always want to know, do people want to know more about it or not? And then the last program that I want to mention is called Illinois Shines. This one has no qualifying metrics. It has certified vendors, and it actually has discounted solar and then also community solar. There's over 20 projects either launched or in the process of being built across Illinois. And then so basically, if you can't have solar on your home, I think you save about 20 to 30% off of your bill just by enrolling in a community solar project. And also if you want solar, it's a discounted program. And this one was started through the Future Energy Jobs Act as well. So in closing, I just want to say it's good to take action. And you've already have a green team, I think. So you already are checked that one, start a green team. You can do the home assessment, which I highly recommend because you get back the money that you already have paid into the system by either calling that number or go to comed.com and you can schedule it. They're wearing face masks now. So they're still doing it. They just have face masks. That video is from before COVID hit. There's also sometimes you can sign up for the peak time rebates or hourly pricing. If you said in the poll that you want to know more information about it, we'll actually email you some info on how you can get more info on it, but we don't actually sign you up for anything or say, here's the link that, because you said you wanted it. It's basically just we give you more info about it. Solar for All, if you're interested in it, you can go to that website. We'll also, if you said yes in the poll, we'll send you some information as well. And then of course there's Illinois Shines, discounted in community solar. And we say it's also really good to support CEJA. And I apologize, I did not edit out attend virtual lobby day. I didn't see I had that. Lobby day was back at the beginning of April. So that one is no longer there available, but we have tons of things that are available on our calendar. If you go to faithandplace.org and then look at our events calendar. I usually like to end things on a up note. So I say that there's so many different things that you can do when it comes to climate, trying to lower pollution or to stave off the worst of climate change that we're working on now. But sometimes it can be overwhelming. So I like to think of this quote by Edward Everett Hale that talks about doing what you can do. I know you're muted, but I think it's cool to say it together. If you want to. It says, I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do something that I can do. And then I actually made this drawing. It's bigger. It's like a whole earth, but it has the quote going around it. And then it has parts of the quote emanating off in light. And then I changed part of the quote to I will, to we will, or together we will, because I believe it's only through our collective action that we'll really be able to solve the crisis. So I appreciate you all being here today. And then I think it's cool to type in the chat, what are some ways that you want to take action? There's this far side cartoon that says early experiments in transportation. Luckily, our public transportation system has come a long way, and the actions that we can take have been kind of proven, and it doesn't hurt people. Our actions help.